Imagine planting a single apple seed. You water it, protect it, and wait. After a few years, it grows into a small tree that gives you apples every season. Now, instead of eating all the apples, you take some of the seeds and plant new trees. Those trees grow and they start producing apples too. Soon you have an orchard. That's compound interest, your money growing on its own and its growth producing more growth. Albert Einstein supposedly called compound interest the eighth wonder of the world. He said those who understand it earn it, and those who don't pay it. Whether or not he actually said that doesn't matter. The truth behind it is powerful, because time, not hard work, is the real engine of wealth. Let's start from the beginning. Simple interest is straightforward. If you invest $100 at 5% interest per year, you earn $5 each year. After 10 years, you've earned $50. That's simple interest. But compound interest? That's when your interest earns interest. If you reinvest your earnings, your money starts working for you, and that's when the magic begins. Let's see it in action. Take that same $100, 5% interest compounded yearly. After 10 years, you don't just have $150, you have $162.89. It's not a huge difference at first glance, just $12 more, but stretch that to 40 years and it becomes over $700. Same money, same rate, just more time. That's why time beats effort. Now imagine bigger numbers. Say you invest $10,000 at 7% annual return, roughly the long-term average of the stock market after inflation. In 10 years, you'll have about $19,700. In 20 years, $38,000. In 30 years, $76,000. And in 40 years, nearly $150,000. All from one $10,000 seed. No extra effort, no sleepless nights, just time and patience. Now here's where it gets interesting. Most people think wealth comes from working harder, but working harder only increases your income linearly. If you double your hours, you might double your pay, but compound interest grows exponentially. That's why it quietly outpaces hustle over time. You can't outwork the mathematics of compounding. Let's compare two friends, Alex and Jordan. Alex starts investing early. At 25, Alex invests $200 a month in an index fund, earning 7% on average. After 10 years, at age 35, Alex stops contributing, never adds another dollar. Meanwhile, Jordan starts later. At 35, Jordan invests $200 a month at the same 7% rate, but continues all the way to 65. Who ends up with more at retirement? You might think Jordan, since Jordan invested for 30 years. But no, Alex wins. By 65, Alex's money, left untouched, grows to over $430,000. Jordan, despite contributing 3 times longer, ends up with around $227,000. Alex invested $24,000 total. Jordan invested $72,000. That's the power of time. Here's the key. Compounding rewards early action, not just effort. The earlier your dollars start, the more birthdays they celebrate. And every birthday, they bring friends. Now let's pause for a moment. Subscribe to Modern Money Truth for more stories that turn complex financial ideas into simple, actionable insights. Because understanding money isn't just for analysts, it's for everyone who wants freedom. Now, back to why time is your most valuable asset. Think about how compound interest works in reverse on debt. Credit cards, for example, charge around 20% annual interest on average in the US right now. If you owe $1,000 and don't pay it off, in a year it becomes $1,200. In 5 years, it can quietly double. That's compound interest working against you. It doesn't sleep, it doesn't care about weekends or holidays, it just grows. The same force that builds wealth can also destroy it, depending on which side you stand. So if compound interest is such a powerful ally, why don't more people take advantage of it? One reason is that humans are wired for the short term. We love instant rewards. Waiting decades for results doesn't feel natural. But compounding isn't about excitement, it's about patience. It's like watching grass grow, slow at first, then suddenly everywhere. Behavioral economists call this the exponential growth bias. We underestimate how fast things grow when they compound. For example, suppose you fold a piece of paper in half 50 times. Sounds impossible, but imagine you could. How thick would it be? Most people guess a few meters. In reality, it would reach the sun 93 million miles away. That's exponential growth, and that's what your money does quietly over time. Now let's translate that into the real world. If you invest $100 every month starting at age 20, earning 7% annual return, by 60, you'll have about $240,000. If you wait until 30, you'll have only $120,000. Wait until 40, it drops to $57,000. Time is the multiplier. It's not how much you earn, it's how long your money gets to grow. That's why so many financial planners say start early. Even small amounts matter. A 20-year-old putting away just $5 a day could have nearly $500,000 by retirement if invested wisely. The same person starting at 40 might end up with only a quarter of that even if they double their daily amount, because money is like a snowball. Start rolling it early, and by the time it reaches the bottom of the hill, it's massive. Let's talk about real-world investors who understand this. Warren Buffett, often called the Oracle of Omaha, is worth over $100 billion. But here's what most people miss. Nearly 90% of his wealth came after his 65th birthday. Not because he suddenly got smarter, but because his investments had decades to compound. He started investing at age 10. That's 70-plus years of compounding doing the heavy lifting. As Buffett himself says, the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time is now. Time also smooths out risk. In the short term, markets swing. One year you might gain 20%, the next lose 10%. But over long periods, the average return steadies out. That's why long-term investors tend to outperform traders who jump in and out. A 2023 Vanguard study found that investors who stayed invested for at least 15 years in a diversified portfolio had a 95% chance of positive returns. Those who tried to time the market had less than 60%. Time doesn't just grow your money, it protects it. But compound interest isn't just for investments. It applies to learning, habits, and even relationships. Every small effort builds on the last. Read 10 pages of a book every day, and in a year, you've read 12 full books. That knowledge compounds. Same idea, different field. The formula is universal: consistent input, exponential output. Speaking of formulas, let's make it concrete. The basic compound interest formula is A equals P times 1 plus R over N to the power of N times T, where A is the final amount, P is the principal, R is the annual interest rate, N is how many times it compounds per year, and T is time in years. You don't need to memorize it, but understanding it helps you appreciate how small changes can explode over time. Increase the rate slightly, say from 6% to 7%, and over 30 years, your final amount grows by nearly 40%. That's why fees matter. A 1% management fee might not sound like much, but over decades, it can eat away tens of thousands of dollars. Because compounding works both ways. It magnifies gains and costs alike. Let's explore a practical scenario. Two investors, Maya and Chris, both invest $10,000. Maya invests in a low-cost index fund earning 7%. Chris invests in a managed fund that earns 8% before fees, but charges a 1.5% annual fee. After 30 years, Maya ends up with about $76,000. Chris, despite the higher gross return, ends up with only $60,000. The difference? Fees compounded against him. That's why understanding compound interest isn't just about returns, it's about minimizing friction. Another overlooked factor is compounding frequency. Interest can compound yearly, quarterly, monthly, or even daily. The more often it compounds, the faster it grows. For example, $10,000 at 5% compounded annually becomes $16,289 after 10 years. Compounded monthly, it's $16,470. It's a small difference early on, but over 40 years, the gap widens dramatically. That's why bank savings accounts often advertise daily compounding. It sounds better, and mathematically, it is. Now, let's talk about inflation. If your money grows at 5%, but inflation runs at 3%, your real return is only 2%. That's why keeping money in a low-interest savings account can actually make you poorer over time. In 2023, the average U.S. savings account paid around 0.4% interest, while inflation averaged around 4%. That means your purchasing power quietly shrank every year. To beat inflation, your returns must outpace it, and compounding helps you do that. The magic of compound interest also explains why consistent investing beats perfect timing. If you wait for the right moment, you lose time, the most valuable ingredient. A Fidelity study looking at 40 years of data found that even if you invested at the worst possible time each year, right before a market drop, but stayed invested, you still outperformed those who never started, because time heals volatility. Here's another way to visualize it. Imagine you're climbing a mountain. Each step is an investment contribution. At first, progress feels slow, but as you get higher, every new step gives you a better view, and gravity starts working in your favor on the way down. In investing, that gravity is compounding. It accelerates your progress the longer you stay on the path. Now, let's address a common question. How much does starting late really cost? Suppose you want $1 million by age 65. If you start at 25, earning 7%, you need to invest about $375 a month. If you start at 35, that jumps to $770. At 45, it skyrockets to $1,600. The later you start, the harder you have to work, because time, once lost, can't be recovered, not even with higher effort. That's the essence of why time beats hard work. Hard work is linear. Time is exponential. You can't multiply hours, but you can multiply years of growth. That's why the wealthy focus on owning assets, things that earn while they sleep, because compounding doesn't need you to be awake to work. Let's take a quick detour into psychology again. When people see small returns early on, they often get discouraged. They think, this isn't working. But compounding is deceptive. Its curve is slow in the beginning, almost flat, and then it bends sharply upward, like a hockey stick. Most give up before that bend happens, but those who stay the course reap the exponential payoff. Think about this. If you double a penny every day for 30 days, what do you get? After 1 week, you have just 64 cents. After 2 weeks, $81. After 3 weeks, $10,000. And by day 30, over $5 million. That's compounding. The first steps feel pointless. Then suddenly, everything accelerates. Of course, real investing isn't that smooth. Markets dip, economies slow, recessions happen. But compounding still works, even through downturns, because it's about averages over time. If you reinvest dividends and stay consistent, those downturns actually help. You buy more shares at lower prices. That's called dollar cost averaging. It's how ordinary investors quietly build wealth in the background. Now, let's apply this mindset beyond money. Imagine you want to learn a new skill, say coding or a new language. If you practice 15 minutes a day, that's 90 hours a year. Over 5 years, that's 450 hours, more than enough to become proficient. Each session builds on the last. That's intellectual compounding. The same principle that grows your wealth can grow your mind. So how do you actually harness compound interest in your life? Start early, stay consistent, reinvest everything, avoid unnecessary fees and debt, and most importantly, be patient. Because patience is the secret ingredient that turns simple math into magic. Let's revisit Alex and Jordan one more time. Alex didn't work harder. Alex just started earlier. That's the message. Time is the silent partner in every financial success story. You can't see it, but it's working for you every second. Think about your own timeline. Every dollar you invest today is a worker you hire for life. It doesn't take vacations, doesn't need motivation, doesn't complain. It just works, quietly, endlessly, compounding. The sooner you hire those workers, the bigger your team becomes. Now imagine 10 years from now, looking back. Would you rather have said, I'll start when things calm down, or I'm glad I started when I did? Because in 10 years, the money you invest today will have doubled, maybe more, while the money you spend will be long gone. That's the paradox of compounding. It doesn't reward brilliance, it rewards consistency. You don't need to be the smartest investor, you just need to start and stay. Because time doesn't discriminate, it compounds for everyone equally. So whether you're 20 or 50, the best moment to begin is now. Open that account, automate your investments, let your money breathe and grow, because the longer it lives, the stronger it becomes. Compound interest isn't just a financial principle, it's a life principle. Small, consistent actions multiplied by time create extraordinary results. It's why time beats hard work, why patience beats intensity, and why those who start early often seem lucky later. But it's not luck. It's math, discipline, and time quietly working together behind the scenes. So start where you are. Plant your seed, water it regularly, and let time do what it does best, turn small beginnings into powerful outcomes. Because in the end, wealth isn't built by working the hardest. It's built by starting the earliest, staying the longest, and trusting the process of compound growth.